Shabbat Shalom for right now.
Create a pure heart in me, Great Spirit. Create a pure heart in me. Create a pure heart in me, Great Spirit. Create a pure heart in me, and renew a true soul within me, and renew a true soul within, and renew a true soul within me, and renew a true soul within. Create a pure heart in me, Great Spirit. Create a pure heart in me. Create a pure heart in me, Great Spirit. Create a pure heart in me, and renew a true soul within me, and renew a true soul within, and renew a true soul within me, and renew a true soul within. Me'ayin Yavo Ezri Me'im Adonai Use Shamayim
Jewish tradition encourages introspection and self-examination, cheshbon hanefesh, during the month of Elul as preparation for the days of awe. Tonight, as we pause for our day of rest, we thank God for this holy day and begin to reflect on our relationships with ourselves, each other, and with God. We continue with an opening meditation for this particular moment in time. A time for turning. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. Now is the time for turning. The leaves are beginning to turn from green to red and orange. The birds are beginning to turn and are heading once more toward the south. The animals are beginning to turn to storing their food for the winter. For leaves, birds, and animals, turning comes instinctively. But for us, turning does not come so easily. It takes an act of will for us to make a turn. It means breaking with old habits. It means admitting that we have been wrong. And this is never easy. It means losing face. It means starting all over again. And this is always painful. It means saying, I am sorry. It means recognizing that we have the ability to change. These things are terribly hard to do, but unless we turn, we will be trapped forever in yesterday's ways. God help us to turn from callousness to sensitivity, from hostility to love, from pettiness to purpose, from envy to contentment, from carelessness to discipline, from fear to faith. Turn us around and bring us toward you. Revive our lives as at the beginning, and turn us toward each other, for in isolation there is no life.
We Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to you, return to what you are, return to where you are born and reborn again. Return to you, return to what you are, return to where you are born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. We now join together in our candle blessing for Shabbat, and Rabbi Sobo will kindly light the candles for us. And no, that is not a snake on the bed, that is a shofar.
1 second, I have a question. I have glaucoma. I can't see the prayer, I can't see the letters. But I'm following along on the Siddur. Can somebody tell me what page to go to when we're doing this? Because I can't see.
I will do my best to announce the page numbers as we go.
Thank you.
The candle blessing, because I'm holding my camera in one hand to have the candles in view. I cannot actually go look to see what page it is on, but feel free to join me at home if you have lit your own candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Make sure this is back where it belongs.
And we continue singing together with the words of Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamul v'zachu b'dibur echad, ishmi'anu el ha'miyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor habracha, merosh mikdem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat chil. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Itoreri, itoreri, ki va'orech kumiori, uri, uri, shedabiri, kevod Adonai alaik nigla. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. We continue together with the Chatzi Kaddish. ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברך יוטב ימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל. בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, בהלמלל בהלמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, יתבהר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתהלל לשמי דקודשה בריחו, להילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, נמירן בעלמא, ואמרו Amen.
I believe this reading comes from Mishkan Halev. So if you are in the regular Shabbat prayer book, you will not find it. There is no human being who does not carry a treasure in the soul, a moment of insight, a memory of love, a dream of excellence, a call to worship. And this is page 26.
As we join in the Baruch Hu on page 26. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam vaed.
We lie down in darkness this day with its burdens passes away. Raise us up to the light of a new day. Change us with the season, give us rest and renewal. Make us eager for the dawn. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. This may be page 31 in Mishkan Halev. Open up our eyes, teach us how to live. Fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael, for you are blessed, the one who loves your people, Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. You may be seated.
The Haftarah for Elul comes from Mishkan Halev, page 35. You shall love the ones who are close with all your heart, with all your spirit, with all your strength. Remember these words, inscribe them on your heart. Love them when they struggle, when they sadden and disappoint you. Love them when they fail. See the good within them even when they can't. Look at them and listen even when it's hard. Be grateful for their guidance, even their reproof. when they save you from yourself. Love them when they give you joy, and love them when they don't. When you lie down, let go of anger. When you rise up at dawn, begin again. Praise them for their deeds at home. Speak to them in public with respect. Bind yourself to the ones you love with promises kept and vows fulfilled. Open to them the gates of your heart, the doorway of your soul, and let them know you. So shall the ones you cherish feel your love, your presence, and your care. Doubting is but the forefront of faith, a faith in the infinite growth of an unbounded creation. A doubting age is one of restlessness and discontent with what is current. A doubt is an idea that is still alive. To doubt that the past has uncovered all things is to express faith that many things are still to be uncovered. To doubt that we have grown to our full stature and knowledge is to express faith that we may develop into beings of such power and dignity that we cannot as yet imagine what shall be.
Mi chamocha b'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nerar b'kodesh, norat ilot osefele, norat ilot osefele, malechutecha ranu v'necha, Bukei ayam livnei Moshe Miriam, Zeli, Zeli, Anu ve'amru, Adonai imloch leolam va'ed, Yadai, 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 ונאמר כי ודע אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, Hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, Hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros alenu sukat shlomecha, ve'oshienu leman shemecha. Help us to know that you're near, that your presence is here. Let us lie down in peace every night. And when we rise in the day, keep us sheltered, we pray. Guide us, God, with your love and your light. Baruch atah Adonai, apore sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol hamo Israel. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim.
The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the 7th day God ceased from work and was refreshed. Please rise physically or spiritually for the Amidah.
And I believe in the Shabbat prayer book, it's on page 46.
Thank you.
Adonai Shabbatai tiftach ufi agitei latecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chazei Avot V'Imot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei Bneihem, Le'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Hoseh U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'Zerat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Hakol atah Rav Lehoshia, Morid atah, Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayei Hakol B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, V'Yishenei Afar, V'Yachamocha Ba'al Givurot, U'Miyadom Elach, Melech Memit U'Mechayei, U'Matzmiach Yeshua, V'Yaman Ata L'Chayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol, Atah Kadosh v'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim b'Chol Yom Hallelu Selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. You may be seated.
This is from Mishkan Halev and is not found in the Shabbat prayer book. God, who is ours and God of our fathers and mothers, may our rest on this Shabbat bring you pleasure. Lead us to holiness through your mitzvot, and may each of us find a portion of Torah that is ours. You bestow such goodness, teach us to be satisfied and to know the joy of your salvation. Help us to serve you truly with purity of heart. Let your holy Shabbat be our heritage, embraced freely and with love, and may all our people bring holiness to your name by resting on this day. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Our praise to you, Eternal One, you bring holiness to Shabbat. To shape the world anew, the sea pushes back off the shore, yielding to gravity with a sigh. Not a leaving, but a letting go, a retreat into its own deep fullness. The sun relinquishes its hold on the sky, only to rise once more at daybreak. As the tide rolls back in, a different kind of letting go, an unspooling across the expanse. And we creatures of earth are granted a fresh start, a chance to gather the debris and shape the world anew. Wholeness is a kind of holiness, the stasis of perfection, but brokenness demands recreation, a churning cycle of endings and beginnings, the act of pulling hope and brightness from the wreckage, taking the jagged shards and making of them, if not wholeness, a new sort of sacred splendor. Continue with Ritzeh, which if you are following along in Your prayer books at home can be found on page 56 and 57.
Ritzei, Ritzei, Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu, ve'amcha Yisrael, utefilhatam, ve'avat tekabel, uteil ratzon tamid, uteil ratzon tamid, avodat Yisrael amecha. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha b'yirat navod, she'otecha levadecha b'yirat navod.
For all the gifts I received today, air in my lungs, pulse in my veins, my restless mind alive and curious, awakening suddenly to beauty. For love and the memory of love, forgiveness when I didn't deserve it, another chance at life, let my soul give thanks to you. Let me not forget your kindness. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose goodness deserves thanks and praise.
Shalom, Rav Yisrael, Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom, Rav Yisrael, Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol shalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol shalom. V'tov binecha levarich et amecha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום. We now take a moment for silent prayer and meditation.
I'm surrounded by imperfection.
If only be lefanecha Adonai tzuri v'goali osei shalom bimrom Ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru
Surrounded by imperfection, everyone I know falls short of my exacting standards. Sometimes I wonder what it would be like if all of them were acceptable to me, the words of their mouths and the meditations of their hearts. Maybe then I'd finally find peace.
Hi, and Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So this week's Torah portion, Ki Tavo, acts in many ways as a conclusion to Ki Teitzei, which was our previous Torah portion. In Ki Teitzei, Moses spoke to the Israelites as they prepared to cross into the land of Israel without him. He implored that they conduct themselves according to strict moral social structures. Adherence to this would prove them worthy of God's blessing. What does that social structure look like? I like to think that Deuteronomy 22:3 sums it up pretty well. You must not remain indifferent. Moses warns them against shirking off their responsibility to those around them. This refers not just to diplomatic situations, but to everyday opportunities. Indifference could mean ignoring pleas of refugees, or it could be not stopping to help someone as they ask for help. It could be simply walking past a precarious situation without making sure that everyone and everything was safe. We understand, we get the idea. We know that we must be responsible, whether we like it or not, because we are active participants in our life. We are never simply onlookers. Well, last week's Torah portion really was there to remind us of our responsibilities that we have as individuals. This week, it emphasizes our responsibilities as a people. We are told, these are the blessings that will come should you do thus and such as I commanded you. And these are the curses that are going to happen should you choose to disobey my commandments. The Torah is teaching us that there are consequences for our behavior. We cannot be indifferent. Moses needs the Israelites to consider the repercussions of their behavior as well as their failure to act, because it all will impact themselves as well as the generations to come. Now, parallel to our Torah portion, we too stand on the precipice of a new future. For us, it is a new year, 5782. For them, it's a new way of life in the promised land. We are deep into the month of Elul, more than halfway towards Tishrei, and there is a sense of urgency around us. We may not be strategizing about how to approach what will become our new home, but we are considering our approach to Cheshbon HaNefesh, which is our soul work. And that time is coming quickly. There will also be repercussions in the years to follow based on our choices today of action or inaction. We're given the gift right now of being able to press that reset button and start fresh again. Will we take it? And how would we begin? In our portion, I find that we're given a few hints. Our narrative demonstrates the completion of 3 things to help us ready ourselves, as the Israelites did, but for ourselves, for atonement and new beginnings for us. The first is that we must look humbly at our past mistakes. The second is to look inward and reevaluate where we are at this very moment. And the third, of course, is to look forward at how we envision the future and ourselves within that future. By looking in all 3 of those directions, behind us, within, and forward, we follow the steps of our ancestors as they also prepared for a new life. The first of these comes from a verse that tells us of a particular ritual. The Israelites are commanded that they are to take a basket of their first fruits to the temple and recite the phrase, "My father was a wandering Arab man." It might sound familiar to you. By doing so, when they are prospering in their own land, they are going to be acknowledging that they remember their humble beginnings, just like we do every year at Passover when we recite those words. And it reminds us that we are a part of a much larger story and community. Standing on that threshold, the Israelites were taught to look back with humility and acknowledge the bounty in their lives. As we approach our own, so should we. It's easy to perceive ourselves as living up to our ideals and may even believe that the goodness in our lives is entirely because our deeds have merited it. But at least as we are reminded during Sukkot with the words of Ecclesiastes, our success doesn't come from within, but it also comes from God, because God gives us strength when it's needed and hope when we don't have any. And when we take time to remind ourselves of our humble beginnings, of our humble past, it reminds us that we are not perfect, that we cannot do it all, but girded in strength, we have a better capability. But at our core, we really are fallible and fragile. And when we look at the past, we give ourselves that ability to move forward from that past. If we can recognize our shortcomings, we can learn from them. Like scientists, as we examine where things went wrong, we can see how to improve upon them next time, hopefully leading to even greater success. Otherwise, perhaps we are bound to make those same mistakes again. The second thing we see with the Israelites is how they prepare for the next step by understanding what is required of them. The Israelites were not being asked to pack up their way of life and resume it on the other side of the Jordan, but they received instruction on how to establish life in a new land under new laws. It was to this point that Moses read through all of the commandments and all of those consequences of adhering to or not adhering to them. It essentially was a large to-do list. And after looking back and acknowledging that perhaps for some of us, we wandered in the desert longer than we imagined, we're then looking inward. Just like in the times of Moses, we still carry that idea of list making and preparations before we go into something new. We have our own rituals for getting ready to go. We check off our items on our lists. We double check our baggage. As we anticipate change, we stop to consider what is important to take with us for our new destination. Every experience is different. Our school supply list is vastly different from the list being made right now in our own preparations for so many other things, perhaps adjusting to the new reality with this pandemic. Every time we move from one existence to another, we have to pause and evaluate the situation. And that is where we are right now. We may not know exactly what it is that we are facing yet, but we know that in it is the possibility for renewal. And so we create our own personal identity, our personal inventory, if you will, our cheshbon hanefesh, in order to know who we are and to know what we are preparing for. And as we are trying to put our personal inventories in order, we also must pay attention, stepping away from the craziness of our lives to be introspective. By holding this looking glass up to our souls to examine what it is that we find. Then we have to look and determine, are we happy? Are we treating ourselves with respect and love? Are we treating others that we know or don't know with fairness and love? Are we exercising good judgment in what we do? And are we asking forgiveness when we do not use such good judgment? And do I forgive myself? So, full of fear and hope for the new year, we must still look forward, as Moses did at the Promised Land. Where we will find ourselves in the year to come, we're not so sure. Will we have gone ahead into the Promised Land, or will we still be standing on the edges of the land looking in? Once we understand and accept the challenges to be found in the changes we are about to take on. Then we can move forward with renewed strength, and then discover what those steps are across that river. Through taking the time to stop in our busy lives, to determine what we will need to get to our destination and reroute ourselves, we are embracing making our own choices and moving away from indifference. Through looking back, looking within, and looking forward, may we strengthen one another on our collective journey. Shabbat Shalom.
As we think of strength and blessings and our search for inner wholeness, we keep all who are in need of healing in our own prayers. As a congregation, we pray this week especially for Wanda Lane, Howard Faust, Henny Lubo, Mitchell Quint, Gary Pacernick, Maxine Rubin, Nikki Lapine, Jonathan Carrico, Noah Lapine Carrico, Marlene Mayman, Cicely Nathan, Sarah Swenson, Candace Chapin, Diane Schreier, Jim Hagan, Gershon Ruvain Ben Esther, Linda Dean Harris, Rivka Bat Avraham Visara, William Rossi, Rosalind Moss, Pat Bloom, Ronald Epstein, Helen Fine, James Hockman, Christine Wagner, Tracy Huddleston, Joe McKenna, Jerry McDonald, Richard Lieberman, Joel Pinsker, Marty Sacker, Bob and Gert Kahn, and Deborah Seidel, as well as those whose names we share aloud and hold in our own hearts. Mishaberach Avotenu v'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, v'yivarech et hacholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say, Amen, as we sing together.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor habracha Avotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha Avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of it, and let us say, Amen. Ask those of you who are able at this time to please rise and join me with Aleinu, whether that be rising spiritually or physically. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשני פגעי ארצות, ולא שמנו משפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יראה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. You may be seated.
Our thoughts turn to loved ones whom death has taken from us in recent days. As a congregation, we are in a period of Shiva for Martin Howard Bierman and David Wasserman, and a period of Shloshim for Tyler Zeisloft and Chelsea Smith. And we recall those who died at this season in years past with the yahrzeits of Milton Bennett, Aubrey DeVay, Rosa Dora Diamond, Lena Glass Feinberg, Marjorie L. Flagel, Sophia Frank, Nancy May Hollander, Ree K. Israel, Benna Jacobs, Sylvia Cantor, Emma Liebensberger, Isaac M. Liebensberger, Louis E. Levinson, David Levine, Marvin Adam Levine, Ruth Lieberman, Sol L. Myers, Marion E. Novak, Irene Pohl, Albert Raffel, Sydney F. Ressler, Fanny Retz, Ida Rosenthal, Dora Rudin, Harry Schrager, Jack Schwartz, Benson Shaman, Steve Summer, Benjamin C. Stein, Robert Martin Stern, David Weinberg, and Constance Weprin. Our hearts open as well to the wider circles of loss in our community and wherever grief touches the human family. Zichronam livracha, may their memories always and only be a blessing. Invite those in mourning or remembering to rise first as we join them standing physically or spiritually in our homes for the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabba v'alma divrach hirute v'amlich malchute v'chayechon u'v'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehe shemei rabba mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya yit barach v'yish tabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit romam v'yit naseh v'yit hadar v'yit ale v'yit halal shemei dekudisha barichu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imrumav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Vimru, amen. Zichronam livracha. Saw the Return Israel and thought we were singing that one. Return Israel to the one who takes you back in love. The shofar is sounded from the first day of Elul until the eve of Rosh Hashanah to signal the approaching days of awe. The sound of the shofar implores us to engage in cheshbon hanefesh, an accounting of the soul. The shofar sounds and I am awake, shaken out of the days of sleep. I see the truth, the day of judgment approaches. Soon we will stand before the one who can't be flattered or fooled, Soon we will stand in the courtroom of conscience. Soon we will know the joy of beginning again. Baruch atah Adonai, shome'ah tru'ah. Blessed are you, Adonai, who hears the sounding of the shofar, which I can almost reach.
Tekiah. Shivarum Teruah. Tekiah. Yasher
I'm
koach.
hearing from the basement, that's a shofar.
I'll invite those of you who have your fruit of the vine to join me in the Shabbat Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, b'shabbat kodsho, b'ahava ufratzoni inchelanu, zikaron l'ma'aseh v'reishit. Ki hu yom techila lemikrei kodesh, zecher tziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'achata, v'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodecha, v'hava uvratzon, hinachaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat lechaim. We will continue with our Motzi blessing. Motzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon, and Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I hope you all take a minute to unmute and